I now know that I do not like working from home. But when the guidance first came from public health officials that suggested that a remote work environment would be best for the common good, I had no idea what to expect. But like so many others, I dutifully packed up my office at work, moved a bunch of materials home, and created a workspace in my house. What I soon found out was that remote work was not for me. See, my mind immediately went to that basket of dishes from breakfast that needed to be tended to, or the laundry that I needed to fold, or perhaps the vacuuming somewhere around the house that needed to be done. In my mind, I was trying to negotiate the work hours and my home and leisure hours. Probably most important for me and my family, though, was the fact that we were running multiple schools out of our house. Get this, in the front room of our house, we had an elementary school, completely decked out with a kindergarten room. Just a few rooms over, we had a workstation for the middle school. Down in the basement was our high school. Upstairs, we were supporting a graduate school, and in my corner of the house, I was supporting a counseling service. To say that the house was chaotic and messy at times is a complete understatement. But with some time, some practice, we pretty much got it to the point where it sort of worked. See, my family shared the common belief that we're in this together and we're better together. So what we had to start to do was think about how we were going to renegotiate common space that we had shared on a daily basis, day in and day out, thinking about our relationships and our communication throughout the course of the day. The experience with my family is not all that unique. And I'm also aware that there's plenty of other people that absolutely love the remote work environment. Some tell me that they thrived, that they were more innovative and more productive than they ever would have been in the traditional work environment. However, we all have this understanding that at some point we're going to once again need to share common spaces for our work environment. So many of us, as we started in this pandemic, thought that we would be away for only a few weeks. However, a few months into the experience, we started to realize that our lives were going to be different for the foreseeable future. Some of us started to grieve our independence. We thought about our lack of mobility. We were thinking about our lack of access. Our lack of access, not just to goods and services, but our lack of access to other people, our friends, our family, our coworkers, and loved ones that at one point we had free access to. Now we had to think about seeing them in very intentional and meaningful and safe ways. So with this understanding that we're all in this together and we're better together, I want to share a few guidelines for how we can come back together in the most safe and effective manner. I not only want us to think about school situations, such as an elementary school or university, but I also think about the leaders in industry, how we might welcome back our employees, or those community leaders thinking about how to welcome back the members of our community. The first thing that I think about are ways in which we can offer intentional structured and unstructured opportunities for individuals to practice their social skills once again. Now, the structured part probably is not all that hard. We're going to already have the classroom and the business meetings that we intend for individuals to come to. But what we need to remember is that several individuals are going to need multiple times before they feel as comfortable with their social skills as they once did before. Allow for that time to practice. Unstructured opportunities, maybe the optional lunch or the one-on-one conversation over coffee or tea that individuals might have, are going to go such a long way to helping to reduce the anxiety and apprehension that some individuals are going to feel. For others, it might be a hybrid of the two. Think of the instance where the meeting facilitator is going to have the meeting, but perhaps leaving time at the beginning of the meeting or at the end of the meeting for some unstructured time for people to practice their social skills. Remember that everyone is going to come at this at a different stage of their preparedness to return. Some individuals are not going to have thought about returning at all, whereas others are going to be contemplating the pros and cons of coming back. Others are going to be in a state of preparation, gathering those materials or asking those questions to return, whereas others are already going to be in an active state of making this transition back. But as we understand these different stages that individuals might be in, that is going to help us to script those structured and unstructured opportunities for practice. Second, we want to make sure that we are encouraging individuals to communicate and talk about their needs for return. Think about it this way. We have this sense that most people are going to have differing needs when it comes to their health in terms of returning. So employers should be prepared to talk about the accommodations and appropriate ways to seek accommodations for those individuals, or be ready to make those small, subtle changes in the work environment so that individuals are going to have the optimal experience. As institutions, we should be ready to communicate those steps that we are taking to ensure our community's health and safety. That is, we want to be sure that they know that we have their best interests at heart. For individuals to know that is going to go a long way to reduce the level of anxiety they have about returning to these situations. Remember that for others, they've been autonomous for quite some time. If there's certain rules, guidelines, or expectations, we should communicate those to our staff members and community up front so that they know how to operate in the meeting or how they know about the timelines and when to show up for things. And then finally, to the best of our ability, we should think about ways in which we can communicate practical advice for maintaining our health and safety in the work environment, whether that's talking about washing hands or face coverings. Our ability to communicate out to our constituents as well as encourage them to communicate to us is going to go a long way to supporting our community. Finally, I think that we all have to embrace the change. The change in all of the awkwardness and opportunity that it's going to bring. You see, stress is normal, whether that be good stress or bad stress. We should expect that individuals are going to have some level of stress and just normalize that. That stress actually helps people to complete the tasks at hand. We also should be prepared for some level of awkwardness. Remember that people were doing things in the midst of the pandemic that might not be appropriate for these shared environments. The individual that wore pajamas to every single classroom or business meeting, and we never knew because we only saw them from the neck up. There are certainly going to be awkward moments when we're greeting one another once again. Do we handshake? Do we fist bump? Do we wave from afar? We need to embrace that awkwardness because hopefully we can laugh about it in that shared opportunity that we have with one another. And if we had opportunity to talk about our needs before, everything should be just fine. Then I also think about the opportunities that are before us. Opportunities came for many individuals when they sat in those environments and they had these eureka moments or these ideas in the midst of the pandemic. Now there's opportunity as we're bringing folks back together to create this incubator of ideas that should be an explosion of innovation for us all. When we think about our ability to embrace that change, it's going to go a long way for us to be optimizing ourselves in the work environment. Remember, we're all in this together and we're better together. We as Miamians care about each other and our community, and we want to make sure that we're doing that in the way that is most safe, helpful, and effective for everyone's social and emotional needs as possible. Thank you.